Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. I have a new month and this is my first card for Paper Rose. I'm going to be using Pretty in Pink Christmas 6x6 paper. We've got some cardstock. I've got the Snow Globe die set, and the little houses and the Christmas tree are actually out of the Ornament scene die set. So I'm just trimming. So we're going to cut 2 out of that. And I'm making a little shaker card today. It's the traditional ones rather than the ones you're seeing out and about these days, that they're full panel. They're so easy to make. They're easier than actually what I'm doing here today. I'm just adding a little bit of glue to this little die card, tapping it off with my fingers just so it doesn't go absolutely everywhere, and I'm going to do that with all the 3 pieces. And I've just put a acrylic block down on it to make sure it sticks down. I've got a ruler here. It's got lots of little grids, so I'm just sort of marking out a border. And it's relatively easy. Now I did sort of just eyeball it around to sort of roughly get the idea of I think it's about 1/2 centimetre. It's one little grid, which I think is 1/4 of an inch, but it's already there on the paper. What I then decided to do is just try and get a circle die and just trace it around the outside, because I'm going to cut this by hand with a craft knife. I'm just going to go slow and easy around and hopefully not stuff it up, which I didn't, which was great. I just got to rub out some little bits and pieces around it just from the pencil that I used to trace around the edge of the die there. So there's my little outline. Now I have just gone over along the bottom there, I've just gone straight. I thought about having it a little bit dip down, but we're just going to keep it nice and simple. Just using a school tool to smooth out the edges just after die cutting and that sort of thing. Sometimes it can leave a little bit of an edge, and that just smooths it all out. I've got a little bit of acetate that I'm going to trim up. I'm just going to eyeball this. You could cut this with the die again that provides a little dome, and I probably should have, but there you go, I didn't. And this was quick and easy. Just need to trim off a tiny bit around the top, and that is it. I'm going to glue that down with a little bit of glue, just making sure it's only a small little bit. It's nothing too oozy at all. And we're going to place that down. And once again, I'm going to put something heavy on that just to sort it out. I've trimmed all words are hard. I've trimmed out all my little houses there, and I'm just going to put another layer on. Honestly, that tall one that we had just there, I cut off the top of him, so we needed to do that. So I did that actually with all of them, but that was all off camera. I've got a little bit of the foam tape, and we're going to go around the edge of this, making sure that we've got a sealed in little area. I just need to tidy a little tiny bit off that. And that's the beginning of our little shaker card. A tiny little bit of scrap, which I'm going to cut into a little curved image. I'm going to colour those with some Copic markers. We've got YG99, YG67 and YG63. And I'm not worried too much. I'm basically just going to scribble a little bits of colour over this and keep adding colour until I'm happy with that. which is just going to give it a little bit of interest in our grass, most of it you're not really going to see. You're going to see a little bit, but most of it you won't really see. But it's there, and it's going to be a little place for our houses and a little, I don't know, is it a church, a big tall building? Anyway, that's what we're going to do. It is a little bit difficult. You can see it there. The background I've got is just dotted paper. As I said, that is from the Pretty in Pink Christmas paper range from Paper Rose. I'm going to colour, ignore this bit because I totally changed my mind in the end. I'm going to colour the trees with the same colours that I've got the grass. And I'm basically going to just scribble little bits of the colour all over it until I fill it in. And as I said, it's the same colours. So we've got the YG 99, YG 67 and 63. The houses and the trunks of the tree are going to be E55 and E57. The trees, I'm just going to use the 57. And the houses are going to be a combination of the two. So I'm just going to stick this together so we've got a little bit of extra dimension on him as well. I'm going to use a Copic marker just to go around the edges, which is going to be the same colour that we've used previously. I think in this situation, I think I use the 67, the YG 67. And just finishes off the edges. And there's our little tree. I need a little tiny bit more glue just to stick his trunk down because I'm probably going to rip that off if I wasn't careful. So we'll fix that up. Next we're going to quickly colour the other trees, as I said, in the same colour. I've come back through and I've got the trunks already done. As I said, they were in the E57. I'm going to provide a little bit of colour around on the left-hand side of all the images. Honestly, I wasn't really too fussed about what bits to colour or where to colour it or how shadows or anything else. I just wanted a little bit of definition into it because it's the shaker that it's going to have the main focus on the card. So we'll just go around the edges of that again in another brown. This time I have used the darker colour on one side and I've used the lighter colour on the other. Just where we had the darker colour, I've used the darker colour. You got the point? Yeah. So what can I really tell you? I don't think I have anything really terribly interesting to tell you today. We're just going to focus on the card. Gluing my little grassy hill down just with some glue just straight. I'm going to trim off the little side here just so I can nestle him up without causing too much extra dimension to the card. I don't want it too close to the edge because I don't mind not seeing it, but I want to see a little bit of it. And this tall house is going to go right next to that, up against it, like that. I'm going to put a little bit of foam on this other one, just for a little bit of fun, because I felt like it. The other house is going to be the same deal. It's going to have a bit of foam on it in the background as well. I'm also going to go through and ground these houses. Even though they've got the ground there, I just felt it was like just plonked onto the top of the grass. They were there, but they weren't really in the scene. So to do that, we're just going to put a little bit of the same Copic markers that we've used for the grass along the bottom. We just playing with a little bit of the foam. I've got all my trees all settled and on my panel. It's a good tip for you. If you use glitter for the first time, or a bottle of glitter for the first time, remove the cardboard covering the seal onto it, funnily enough. I've also got a little bit of gem flakes, and I will double check that they're available. This gem flakes I've had for a long time. They go a long distance. I've removed all the backing tape and now I'm just putting the cover on my little element, and that's it. How cute. I do like snow globes. My husband went to Switzerland one year for work, and I said, if you bring me back anything, bring me back a snow globe. And he did. The only problem was he put it in his undercarriage luggage, so in the depth of the plane, and unfortunately it got broken. And it sat on my coffee table and I'm like, you need to remove that because I can't bring myself to remove that. So if, what are you going to do about it? It happens. And there's nothing you can do about it. This little panel that goes on the front of the snow globe has a curve, as you can see there. What I've done with the stamp is, after putting it onto the block, I've literally just sort of curved up a tiny little bit of the edges. So it's not a big curve, but it just gives that idea, that depth, that it's got a curve around it. I've got a little peg here and some gold embossing powder, and we're going to heat set that. And there's our little Merry Christmas. That is going to be raised up. I've got very fine little foam dots here. That's going to be raised up on the center panel. And then that panel there, we're going to color in with the C5, C3 and C1. I do actually go right down to a C00 just to blend it all down to white a little bit. I was finding it had a little bit more of a shadow on it still, and I wanted to bring it down more. As you can see there, I've done 2 lines because in a lot of the snow globes that I've seen, it juts out a little bit at the top just before the snow globe and at the bottom at the base. So I'm mimicking that, and we've got the hint of that with the die. So I'm just trying to bring it out. All I do is just go over it so I've done the C5 and then I've gone over it with the C3, just a straight line. The edges are where I take it out further. So it just softens it down and adds a little bit of extra color to it. Take all my backings off and just make sure I have that all nice and straight there. And that's going to be our base of our snow globe. We've got a lot of dimension with the shaker panel, as you can see there. What I'm going to do is add basically 4 layers. So I've got my big strips and then they're doubled up, and then I've got 2 of those, 2 of the panels that are doubled up. Here I'm doing the same as I did with the center lines that we have with the ledges. I've gone around with the C5, the C3 and down to the C1, and I've basically, apart from this little curvy bit, I'm just going over the same thing. I'm not taking the color out at all. That's going to soften the C5 but still have a stronger highlight compared to if I hadn't have done the C5. Just using the C00 just to soften that down a tiny little bit more, especially the little bobbly bit at the top. My craft mat looks really dirty there. It's not that bad. We've got some blue cardstock here. I'm going to use, once I've trimmed it down to be what I wanted on my card panel, I'm going to use some Salty Ocean, which is not going to provide, you're going to see it, well, when it's wet, you can see a lot of it. It's quite dark. So I have the Salty Ocean, I have Chips Sapphire, and we're going to finish that off with some black soot just around the very, very edges. And I'm going to go back and forth a little bit just so I have a nice blend. I'm not worried about my front because 90% of it is going to be covered up. But it just sort of finishes it off. It's just, you can see that the blue on the card is not a flat blue. So it just sort of finishes it off. So it's a really nice little technique to give a little bit of a difference to the cardstock. So it doesn't looks a bit patchy there, but it's going to smooth out. As I said, the middle of it's going to be hidden, so you're not going to see it at all. This is where I'm going to put my 4 layers of foam tape. So it's going to be quite high, but I wanted it to be pretty high. I wanted it to stand out. I wanted the snow globe to be a little bit sunken into the rest of it. This strip of card, I think it's only like 2.5 centimeters. I didn't measure it whatsoever. I just eyeballed it. Trim that down, and now we're going to place our snow globe over the top, which then leaves us with how to embellish this a little bit more because it needed something. I tried sequins, I tried different colored sequins, nothing went. So we're heading back to the tried and true of clear drops. Adhering my panel to my card here, just using straight glue. And we've got a clear drops, which I'm going to play with and fight with a little bit. I should get my tool out, but I didn't. So that's, what can you say? Adhere those down with a little bit of glue, and when that dries, you're not going to see, if there's any glue that oozes out, you're not going to see it whatsoever. And I'm literally using just a tiny little bit as it is. So you can see it there underneath it, but yeah, it will dry and you won't see it. The next thing, I'm actually going to just change my mind and add a couple more little clear drops. And then we're going to add a little bit of glitter because we've got glitter, but we need a little bit more. And it's just going to add, like the finishing touches, just a dot here and a dot there. That's all it's going to be. Well, that is my card for the first card of November. Can you believe it's November? Hit the like button if you like this video and hit the subscribe button. It just helps with YouTube's algorithms, I believe. I don't know too much about it. I'm just going by what people have told me. That's it. That's my card. I hope you're well. I will talk to you very soon. Bye.